It's your girl Alicia, and I am back, and I have my husband.
Brian.
I have my husband with me, you guys. It has been a long time since we have done a video together. A matter of fact, we were not even married the last time we filmed a video. We were engaged.
Right.
Yeah, and we hadn't got married yet. So y'all, we have been married over a year now.
Yep.
And it has been.
The experience?
Yes.
Oh, a wonderful experience.
It's been great, y'all. It's
As far
been
as I'm
great.
concerned, it's been wonderful.
Yeah. For me too. It's been great. It's been an amazing experience. But today we are here to talk about our home buying process and that experience and how God just blessed us really from the beginning to the end. So we want to talk about how we even got to this point in our marriage and with the home buying experience, because y'all, it has been nothing but God that has got us to this point. And so we felt led to share. We were sitting here on the couch tonight and we thought, yo, we really need to share this testimony because it's amazing. And I feel like it will bless you or it will bless someone. I feel like it will inspire you and encourage you to not look at your circumstances, but to just trust God and to have faith, because that's what we walked on, y'all. So I'll start from the beginning, you guys. Brian and I met back in 2019. We've told this story a couple of times. If you haven't seen it, there's a video in the playlist about how we met, so you can go back and check that out. But it was 2019 when we met. It was through Facebook. He messaged me an amazing message, and I answered, and thank God I did, because
Here we are today.
yes, thank God I did.
You can't say social media doesn't work.
Yeah, and it
at least being interested in somebody.
Yeah. Social media definitely played the biggest part in our getting together. So we got together through social media, and when we met, you guys, we met under circumstances that were not favorable. So if you were to write down our, I don't know what you would call them, but I guess our list of who we were, or who we were as people at the time, or our accomplishments, or what we had, we may have not looked too good on paper to some, but by the grace of God, we saw the goodness in each other. We saw the potential in each other, and we also saw God's hand in our relationship. So it was like a no-brainer for us. But most people would probably not take on, the issues that we had, or what some may consider issues. For me personally, I had just gone through a divorce. Well, I had been divorced about a year at that time, and I lived with my mom, 40 years old, living with my mother. Had 2 kids, one in college, another that was in high school, and 2 boys. Let's just make that clear. Because it's hard for men to kind of come in on young men you know, and kind of, you know, father and take over. But anyway, that's another video. Like, yeah, that's a whole.
But that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because you know, it's a lot of barriers that get in the way of people coming together, and one that a lot of people struggle with in terms of being like the man trying to pursue the woman, as if the kids are kind of older, and sometimes older boys they have like things going on where they conflict with the guy that you're dating or want to date. In your case, it was totally different. Like your kids are like open to you dating, and they were very favorable and supportive of us getting together. But a lot of times that could be, you know, like a challenge going into a relationship.
God did favor us in that way, you know, that the kids were accepted us both. And so with those issues, you know, having been divorced, living with my mom, over 40, so, you know, not having my own, not having, you know, things together, my credit score was terrible. It was less favorable, let's just put it like that. You know, because my kids in college, I'm trying to, you know, do just whatever it is I can do. And like I said, living with my mom, it was just, the odds were pretty much stacked against me. And for my husband to come in and just be like, you know, who cares about that? You know, life happens. Everybody's going through something. You know, we can do this. You know, for him to come into it like that, that's a blessing within itself. That's a major blessing for both of us to be open-hearted. And I'm gonna allow him to tell whatever it is that he wants to tell about himself. But that was the blessing in it, that we were willing to accept each other right where we were. Like, no, you know, I see potential, I see that this could be, and that we accepted each other right where we were, and that was okay. And we were okay with that, you know, moving forward. So had there been, you know, no talks of any growth, which we had talks of growth, but had there not been, we were happy with each other right where we were. Right where we were, like it was good. It was well with our soul.
Right. And
to find that in your 40s is almost impossible. It's almost impossible. So that within itself was a major thing. Like I said, my credit score was not good, y'all, at all. And when he came into the picture, we thought, okay, well, we wanted to build. We knew that we wanted to build. We knew that we wanted to be together. We knew that God favored us and our relationship. We knew that we wanted to share our journey, and we've done that on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok. You know, we've done that, and God showed so much favor in those areas. I was able to take money that I made from like TikTok videos and YouTube videos and stuff like that and use it to date. We used it to, like when we went out on dates, a lot of times when I was saying I'm gonna pay, I was using it because I ain't had no money, y'all. Yeah, I was using that money because I ain't had no money, y'all. But like, you know, paying for my son's car, I think YouTube helped me with that. Cause like, you know, every time I would get, you know, a little extra check from YouTube or whatever, I put it towards, you know, some debt or whatever. And so I think that helped me to grow. And he came in and, you know, got right in on my YouTube and all the things that I was doing with social media and just supported, you know, me and that. And that's something that, you know, could seem childish to some people, because I heard that, you know, that it's like, yeah, like, you know, what are you doing?
I guess it depends on how you use it.
Yeah. And I think it was, you know, back then, or not back then, but years ago, a couple years back, it was like, you know, new. It was very new to people. So people didn't know, you know, that you could really be successful, you know, make good money, you know, whatever, through, you know, social media.
Yeah, but I think it matches you because you have a natural bubbly personality, and you do well behind, you know, the camera, and so like regardless if it's monetized or not, I think you have like the look and the personality to like, you know, be good at it, you know, whatever the case may be. So I think it's different for you.
Yeah, and I loved it. So it helped me. It helped me to build my credit score.
YouTube? I mean, not YouTube.
Well, like having the extra money, because seriously, like I would take that little extra money and I would put it towards whatever debt. How much debt I have? But honestly, I would take, like, if I would get a YouTube check and let's say like, if we're being real honest, we're gonna be real honest and open. Let's just say, like, I would get a YouTube check and it was like $370. I would take that and pay, Nolan's car payment. Or, I would take it in whatever payment I had for Nolan's college, I would pay it with that, yeah. And I'm not talking about I made, hundreds of thousands of dollars, because no, I did not. I wish, maybe one day, but just a little bit of money. And when we went out on dates and I was like, oh, I got it, if it was $40 or $50, that was like from YouTube, like, or TikTok, something like that. So, but being able to make payments on time, and having like a little cushion and being able to make payments on time, I think is what helped my credit score to grow. Right. And then I paid off debt, and living with my mom also allowed me to be able to do that because, I had the minimum of bills. I just helped her with little stuff, like lights and water and, stuff like that. But, so it helped me grow. But, so saying, I said all of that to say that, I built my credit back up. I didn't apply for anything, like no credit cards, nothing like that. Right. I just made sure that I paid everything on time and I had the idea to grow my credit.
You mind if I say something?
Yeah, no, go ahead.
I'll back up just a little bit before we get to the wedding engagement. When Alicia and I started dating, the one thing I can say, because she mentioned we weren't at our best, like from a financial perspective. We weren't broke and nothing like that, but we just, I was newly out here, had kind of came from California, pretty much just upped and moved because I wanted something different. But I didn't come out here with much, and Alicia was at a point where, she was in a transition in her life, and she ended up with her mom or whatever, just a transition. So things happen, and you ultimately have to regather yourself and then kind of bounce back from it. But the one thing I say, I think that was where we were in life when we met was like the perfect place to be because it allowed us to kind of really see each other for who we were, like the people that we are, not so much highlighting material things or money or this or that. We were allowed to kind of like just find interest in each other as human beings and as people.
When we decided that we were going to, like, we knew we were going to get engaged before that even happened because we had talked about it, and so we had kind of came up with a budget for my engagement ring. We came up with a budget for the actual engagement. Like, I didn't know what he was gonna do, but he did say, I want a budget for some things, and so he came up with it was like the 53-day challenge or something like that. Anyway, where you kind of put $1 a day or $2 or $3 or something like that. Yeah, so we ended up doing like $20 a week plus.
Well, we started off though.
Yeah. Yeah, plus the 20. So it's $20 a week plus whatever the 50-day challenge was. Well, anyway, so we started out doing that to kind of like save money so we could save up for the wedding and the engagement and do all that stuff. And so I think when we did that planted a seed in me that was like, okay, if we can save up to do that, then we could save up to buy a home one day. I think for me, that's where the seed was planted. And so I thought, okay, let's go to work. Like, it instantly hit me like, okay, we can do this. Because if we can, save us some money, have a wedding, and have it, a nice engagement like we did, like, we can build. We can do this. We could actually purchase a home. I don't think it was one of those things where we were like, okay, well, because we weren't broke, okay, but we had no money. How does that go? How does that go together? Like, we weren't broke because we have jobs and we work, and but it wasn't like we had stuff.
Because I didn't come out here bringing houses and this and that.
Yeah,
At one point, you were more stable and had a lifestyle that you were accustomed to, and in California, I was more stable.
Oh, okay.
And then we met when we were trying to like figure it out at a specific point. So it was just at that moment. It was like a point where we were both building back up.
Yeah.
But in terms of just not having or not being capable of building up, like we both had jobs.
Yeah.
We just were just at a point where life had brought you to this point where you were building back up, and life has brought me to a point where I was building back up.
Yeah.
And that's like, but still, we didn't have much going on.
Yeah.
In terms of how people would
perceive
you
it
and say you
yeah.
should.
Yeah. Like how people would perceive it, because somebody would see me as a 40-year-old woman and they would think, that I would have all these things, stacked up, like material things.
Yeah.
Like have all these material things stacked up, and maybe even like professional things or whatever. But I didn't have any of that, because I left all of that behind me. And you didn't, because you came out from California, so it was like you wasn't gonna, tow a whole, you know what I mean, like carry it.
Oh, you can't bring it with you. But you made an investment in your happiness and your peace.
Yeah.
And so even though it seemed like it was from a material perspective, not much, it was an investment because you can hold on to all the things that you can have, material-wise, and not be happy. But as a result of where you were in life, you made an investment by eliminating a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Going back to a starting point.
Yeah.
And building from there, and with happiness and peace.
Yeah. Being
the foundation.
Yeah. And
for me, I came out here looking for something just totally different from what I was exposed to. I just wanted something totally different. Maybe it may not make sense to a lot of people, but it is what it is. So even though financially it wasn't, that can be, we can look at it critically in terms of where we were. But at the end of the day, we were both invested into something that would bring us more happiness. At least happiness, and in your case, maybe a little more peace or whatever the case may be. But that's a good investment. So I'm always proud of you making it, being at that place where you gave up material things for the immaterial of peace and happiness. So I'm always feel like you were at a better place, even though financially and materially you didn't have as much, but you had made a choice to give up a lot just so you could have that level of peace and happiness.
Yeah. And I always take pride in you because you came out here just like on just knowing that this is something you wanted to do. You wanted to do something different. You wanted to see something different. And you knew that you could build here. Like you just wanted a different life than what you were experiencing in California. Not that it was bad, not that you were running from anything, not that, it was just a bad life. You just wanted to experience something different. And for anybody, I don't care who you are, for anybody to leave your hometown, to leave where you were born and raised, to leave where you come from, to leave your comforts, your family, your friends, your job, your life, and to just be dropped somewhere where you know nobody, like nobody, and to make it, that's amazing.
But Texas is some place that I've always had on my radar. Found the perfect situation that landed me out here in terms of why I wanted to come.
Yeah.
And so all that kind of just worked out in terms of me getting here. And so, and then just, I just made the sacrifices or whatever. And, and part of that is what the sacrifice looks like is what you see in dating. It's like, all right, you don't have a house, you don't have this. You 40, I think it was like 43 or something when I met you. Yeah. So cause I think it was 41.
Yeah. I just turned
40. I was probably going on 44 or something like that. So I think it was what it was.
Yeah. And
so, but in all that to say, it's still, it was still a better place because we were open and happier probably ever at that point.
Yes.
Without having each other.
Yes.
Only to come together and then capitalize on the internal happiness that we had coming into the relationship and meeting each other. Yeah. But when we decided to, pursue marriage and all that stuff, and the thought of planning how we can come together, on my end, I was open to moving to Longview.
Yeah.
And then you were
a matter of fact, you
had
like 2 jobs lined up out there.
Yeah.
To move.
Well, jobs are no big deal. But you were thinking like, well, let me see what it would be like if I had to move to Dallas.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, all right, on my end, let me figure out how I can possibly figure that out going to Longview. You were trying to do Dallas. So we knew we were having somebody was going
to have to make a move.
And that was a challenge in and of itself because I had gotten 2 jobs, like you said, with Tyler and with the city of Longview, both cities. And so I was on the verge of like moving in that direction because both cities had hired me. And I have already been working here with the city, and also and you had gotten some opportunities here, and so we were just like ahead with this, like who's gonna move where.
It was a challenge. It really was, but it was almost a no-brainer. Like for me, I just know being with my husband, we gonna make it. So I knew like God gave me that comfort. Like I feel like secure, safe, and like protected with my husband. So I knew no matter where we were gonna make it. It didn't matter. He's a leader, so he's gonna make sure we good. So I just trusted the process. Like we lined everything up and we thought about it, and it just made more sense for me to move.
Because I felt like we always felt like whatever we decided, we were gonna succeed together, or we were gonna fail together. Whatever we gonna do, we gonna do it together. And based on our talents and the things that we brought that made us complementary of each other, we felt strongly that no matter what the obstacle could be that would get in our way, God was gonna have our back and get us to where we were gonna be successfully in a marriage.
Like God has so much favor in every step of the way. So with us deciding that we're gonna live in Dallas, like we came here, we got the 1-bedroom apartment, and we were living there just humble, like we didn't care. We were just like, we gonna make it, it don't matter. We was like, we're gonna come here, and we didn't have much. Like I have to imagine, we moved like I left my mom, I didn't have anything. He had more than I did, and it's like
from a material perspective.
Yeah, from a material perspective. And it was just like, we're gonna make it, like regardless, we're gonna get here and we're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna make it. California is totally different than Texas as far as when it comes to buying homes, because everything is 10 times more expensive. So it's almost like crazy to buy a house.
And you just don't have a mindset. Sometimes you just don't think about it as much. It's home affordability is really totally real. Different. It's different. So you can think about it differently. You can get to a certain place faster to kind of have that thought in your mind that this is something I want to do.
So we had the discussion. So I told him, I was like, let's do that. And he was like, okay, so we talked about it. We talked about budget. We talked about what made sense, to pay, how we didn't want to be house poor, all that other kind of stuff. And so, we kind of broke it all down. And so I reached out to my cousin, who is a broker, a realtor, and I asked her, Shrika Johnson, I asked her like, hey, what do you think? Are we ready to buy a house or whatever? And she was like, oh yeah, y'all are good just by, what you told me. So it was almost like I was just having a conversation with my cousin. It wasn't like we gonna jump in this thing and we gonna buy a home, like this is what we're about to do. We talked about it, we knew that it would be a goal in the future, and it was like, all right. So talked to Sharika, and then we ended up getting sick. We ended up getting sick with COVID, and during that time, we got the call that we were like pre-approved, and so we weren't like sick, like down or nothing like that, but it was almost like
like
we weren't sick like down.
We just had COVID.
We had COVID and like mildly, but we couldn't get out. So I said that to make the point that we couldn't get out, to like go and search for homes like right off, once we got that approval letter. But or once we got the approval. But it gave me a chance, since we couldn't get out, it gave me a chance to think about it. So I'm sitting there like, this is real. Like, we really can do this. So I had time to think, like, we really could do this.
Yeah.
Like, this really could happen. And I don't know if you knew at that point in it, like how major that was to actually get the pre-approval. And so I wasn't even like trying to dig it in. you know, like how major it was, I was just thinking to myself, like, this is the first hurdle.
Yeah, I think
and we over it.
Yeah, I think I was at a place where I'm like, okay, we buying a house. I don't think I ever. It took me months for it to really like stick. Like, okay, we were really buying a house in person. I mean, we were actually. The house was built from the ground up. We were walking in and out of this place. And we were going through the process. And I still hadn't just accepted it completely. But I knew what we were doing. But it was to the point to where, you know, it was things we would do here before we actually purchased the home. Where I was like, you probably shouldn't be doing that because we haven't got this home. Anything can happen. You know, like you don't want to write on people's walls and stuff.
Yeah, because I was coming in writing scriptures all over the house. I was writing scriptures all over the beams. I was like, in faith, I'm like, this is our house. I don't care. Even when we walked in the first time and we, you know, toured, I was like, before we even get to the front door, I was like, Brian, this is our house. And he was like, yep. So it was just, we were really just riding on faith. Even like when they were like, okay, you know, now send in the earnest money, even being able to just like have earnest money and down payment money and all of that was just like faith. It was like just a blessing. I
just don't know why it took me so long just to kind of accept it, like we were actually going to get a home. But
I guess because it was a whole process, so it's like you know you have to.
But it was seamless. Like it wasn't like we mentioned earlier. Like, it wasn't like it was complicated. We just gave them what they asked for. We knew what they were gonna want going into it
because
we knew we had it all.
That.
Like we had with all the things that we were you know needing to get the home, and it wasn't a lot of stress involved. It was just timely. Like we had to just, you know, it just consumed a lot of time.
It was it was time consuming, and it was like you had to do it right then. So it was like, but if you allowed that stress to come in, I guess I could see where it could be stressful. But we just didn't allow it to like stress us out in that way. It was just like they need these documents. Okay, let's go get them. And if we can't get them in enough time, oh well. Like it was like it was almost like, you know. It was just favor and faith the whole way through, to be honest. It really was. And even getting to a point where we had the money and we had the credit and all of that was just favor. Because like when we got together, we weren't like that. We built up to what we had when we got to the point where we were able to get the house.
But you know, now one thing I'll say is it's a very intrusive process. So you know, if it was anything going on in either one of our backgrounds or anything like that, you know, it digs in.
We would have been found out.
So they go through everything. So you know, that was the interesting part about it all. Is how open you have to be and transparent, and how much of your life that they can dig into. And by the grace of God, we were just at a place where we didn't make a lot of, even though we didn't have a lot, we didn't, you know, make a lot of bad decisions collectively. We couldn't get things, you know. So by the grace of God, we were fine, but it's like very intrusive, very interesting in that regard.
It really was. And like I said, I guess I could see where a level of stress would come from, but we didn't allow it to stress us out. It was just like, okay, y'all need this, and there was a hiccup, or maybe two hiccups, and it was almost like, okay, well, why do y'all need that? But it's when you get into underwriting, they want everything. They want to know everything that's coming in, everything that's going out. They want to know why, and if you can't, and in some instances, they want you to prove it. So it's like you got to pull up receipts and
everything about your life. They want to know it and they want to see it.
Bank
3 times over again.
Yes. Oh, you were married before? Well, where is that divorce decree? Like they were in there.
We had withdrawn money out of an account, somewhat decent size amount, whatever. But and then they need to know why that happened.
Why we moved?
Because life.
Yeah.
Like it's our money to withdraw. Like we had to like really chill on your. Don't withdraw any money.
Yeah.
This is the biggest hassle. Like, why are you withdrawing so much money.
Yeah, and that's a good point to bring up to help someone if you are looking to purchase a home and you're in because I think at the time the point that we were in underwriting, and so it was like they were asking us like, why did you take out this big amount? You know, it's like, hey, man, because we had something come up, like we living, and it's like, well, where did it go? Where did you put it? If we switched money from one account to another, well, why did you do that? So be mindful of that. Like, don't spend any money.
Yeah, I just don't understand. I spend money the way I want to spend money.
But they won't.
Like, huh?
Our underwriter.
It's mine to take out.
Yeah. Our underwriter. We became like friends. Like we were on first name basis, and even in that was even a blessing because she said she doesn't normally do that. You know, she normally doesn't even speak to the potential homeowners. You know, so that was even a blessing that she was like, let me just call you directly and get this done. But I think, and she told me the reason why she was like that with us was because anytime they asked us for something, we were just like, here you go, here you go, here you go. Yeah, and we just tried to find it and make sure that we got it to them in a timely manner. It was like, it got to a point where Brian was like, okay, I'm in on this process now.
My biggest fear for me was that I didn't want them to ask for something that I had to go to California to pick up. Yeah. That was my only fear. Everything y'all want, I'm legit. Everything I had dated you and said I was all about. Yeah. It wasn't any secrets or anything of that sort. But I didn't want them to say I needed a certain document or I needed something. And I'm like, I don't keep a lot of that stuff with me. I mean, I have it now because we've gone out there and I'm bringing more of my stuff here. And we have it at Ma's house. But at that time, I didn't just keep all my important documents. And they were asking for so much stuff. I didn't know what they could ask for. And if you didn't get it to them in a timely manner, then all that we were working through to get the home could just fall through, not because you didn't qualify or didn't have it. It's because you didn't get it to them in a timely manner. And that was my greatest fear is that, I hope they don't spring something on me and it's like they need it by X day and I gotta fly to California to get it. It's just that's... Yeah, that was a fear of mine.
Yeah. But I mean, it's something we would have worked through because we were both open-minded to just work through the process and not point fingers or point blame or anything because we're a team. So it's we're just doing this together. So it's if we win together. We fail together. We fall together. But so yeah, that was a thing, getting documents in a timely manner. And most of the time they wanted them within 24 hours, within that day, within 12 hours. And it's you just putting this on me. But we handled it. We handled it. And it was only by God's grace that we handled it. And we got our documents in, we applied, we pushed through, and it was God just blessed us with a brand new home, from the ground up. We walked in and it was concrete and beams when we actually put our earnest money down on the house. And so we were able to come in and write those scriptures on those beams and watch the entire process and have such an appreciation for our home. And we made it to the finish line. That was a blessing, being here and getting that, that we cleared the close. There was a hiccup in the closing because our apartment, we had to move out our apartment at a certain time, so that left us without anywhere to stay.
Our closing date initially was at a particular time.
Our closing date was in September.
And then we had a little cushion to stay in our apartment, but then the closing date had changed. I forget for what reason it changed. But it
pushbacks,
changed.
materials being on back
order. So it threw off. We had already turned in our notice to leave and from the apartment. And so now our closing date was so we had this gap of a couple of weeks.
2 weeks.
And it was well, we was just staying in a hotel, I guess.
Yeah.
I didn't know how you was gonna deal with that, but the blessing in that is that it's just like the marriage vows, through the good times and the bad times. It was all right, it might be a bad time, but it's definitely gonna get better in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And you just went with the flow, you stayed in the hotel for a couple of weeks or whatever. Life went on. I don't think it was much of any issues with that. You went to work, I went to work, life happened, and we actually enjoyed the little time.
I did. I enjoyed it. It was, I mean, it was easy. There was no, hustle and bustle of what you have to do when you home, so it was just almost like getting off work and going on a small mini vacation and staying in a hotel. But it wasn't like my husband made it clear, this ain't no, vacation. Like, we're not staying in no fancy hotel spending a whole lot of money. We gonna do this sensibly. So, and that's what we did, and we were comfortable, and it was
it was comfortable to a great extent.
To a great extent, yeah.
But remember, we were thinking, like, what happens if at the last minute something falls through with the closing?
Yeah.
So we don't have an apartment, and we stay in a hotel. What if something in these next 2 weeks happen? Which maybe I should have more faith in this process. But
no, you had.
But we could have been living paying $3,000+ for hotel fees, and it was like because we don't have nowhere to stay. It could have really been real.
Been bad.
I mean, God would have provided for us in that situation. Mm-hmm. We wouldn't have been homeless. But the way it was that you could have gone to your mom and back alone, you and all that stuff, but we were married now.
Yeah.
And it's that was a very crazy period, because if something would have fell through in those last couple of weeks, then how would that have worked? It would have worked out. I mean, we wouldn't have been homeless, I know that much. We would have just had to.
We would have figured it out.
But I can't imagine how looking for an apartment under those circumstances, just to have a stable home under just our apartment to go to, whatever. I just couldn't imagine that.
Yeah, because it was hard finding our apartment when we came out here to begin with.
Up and got that piece of
yes.
I don't care.
And it was a piece of junk.
It was in Urban, and everybody probably thought it was the place to be.
Yes, this is the premier area,
God,
blah, blah, blah. We got there.
It was alright. It was junk.
A dump, y'all.
Well, I mean, it was livable.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't what I thought.
But it wasn't great.
It should be for
the area.
Yeah, well.
And the amount.
Yeah, for the least amount. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story too.
Yeah.
But we stayed there and we loved it. It was our first year together, so we probably wasn't even really paying attention to our surroundings that much anyway, because it's the first year of marriage. But so that it was a blessing in that too, because in us being, with nowhere to really live for 2 weeks, because had our closing date got pushed back again, which it very well could have, or if something would have happened with underwriting and financing, which it very well could have, what would have we done? So God's favor was right there too. So, but we made it to closing, y'all. We closed on our house, and it was exactly a month shy of us being married a year. And that was God's favor too. We only been married a year, and we built a house. So, and we're just grateful, we're humble, and we say that with the most humble heart and most humble spirit, because it's just to show that God can do anything. It's to show God's favor. It's to show, that we want to inspire and encourage. No matter what it looks like, you can do whatever it is, that you have in your heart to do with whatever it is you have, and live however it is you want to live. Because we don't live in this big mansion of a home
but we didn't want
with acres.
We
didn't want that.
That we wanted something that would allow us to be able to travel and do other things. We just wanted something that was ours.
Yeah.
Be comfortable and not struggling through life to pay it.
Yeah.
And God bless us with this.
Yeah,
this
and
is
nice.
More than just
and something nice. Yeah. Because it's way more than what we thought.
In terms of square footage, we was cool with just growing old. Just we didn't want much space to have to clean up all day. We don't have any kids. Yeah. I mean, our kids will be growing up, one by one. So soon will be when we don't have that going on. Yeah. It's as long as they have a place they can come to, 3-bedroom or something, it's just fine.
Yeah, and that's a lot. Yeah. And it's more yard than we wanted.
Yeah,
it's more of a little bit than what we initially wanted, but God provided. It's perfect. Yeah. It's perfect for us, and that's what I was saying. no matter what you want for yourself, no matter what it may look like, to other people, don't worry about that. Like, go for the desires that are within your heart, and God will give you just that, because that's definitely what He did here with us. We have a beautiful home, and we're grateful, and we both are, just like humble and just ready to share in any way that we can. Like, because if He can do it for us, He can do it for you.
But the one thing I'll say is God has blessed us from the start to the end.
Mm-hmm.
Even though we talk about humble beginnings in it all, it was never a time where we were struggling financially.
Never.
We just didn't have much, material stuff, and everything that we experienced, it was like on a major scale.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to you earlier, which is how it led us to us actually doing a video.
Yeah.
Like, if we had an example of like God redeeming the time in any situation, I think we are a good example of like a real example of being at a certain place at a certain age, and then like having some of the best experiences that we both ever experienced in life happen at a rapid pace. Having supportive family, having material things come in, and just having like great experiences, being able to travel and experience the world and experience new areas, and it's just like and then not only just getting a home, we're blessed to have a home that nobody's ever lived in.
Yeah.
And it's so to me those are like the miracles in it all. But even beyond even that, like the material stuff, to me it's like the most important thing is to always put that to a side, because we always talk about you never know where life is going to take us. We're growing older together, and like we got much is given, much is required.
Yeah.
And then we can have in our requirement if something can happen, where we're obligated to be there for one another, and we can lose everything.
Yep.
We have. So I want to enjoy it, but I don't want to possess it.
Yeah, exactly.
To the point to where it be definitive of who I am and definitive of our relationship.
Yeah.
This is something we can enjoy in the moment. If God allows us to enjoy it for the rest of our life, I'm at peace with it. If for whatever reason our relationship requires for us to have to get rid of some of the things that God has given us, then I'm cool with that. Because more important than material stuff in terms of my relationship with you is really making sure that we, as I mentioned earlier, there is a foundation of peace, a foundation of happiness. We can have all this stuff, but we need to check in with each other to make sure that this house is not going to make you happy. It'll make you happy in the moment. This house or the cars or whatever, it's not going to bring you peace. So if we don't have that relationship where we check in with each other to make sure, regardless of what we have, that we're keeping it fundamental and from a foundational perspective, making sure we're just at a place of like peace internally, then